All right, guys, today we're going to be looking at editor version 4 from Elementor. And before anything, I want to mention that this is alpha version, meaning that is just for us to try out, to see how the future of Elementor looks like. So again, make sure that you don't activate this on a live site. I will have a link in the description below where you can download the version that has the Elementor version 4 alpha. So you can activate it if you want, again, on a test website. Because I know, and Elementor knows as well, that you guys, and I was also a little bit worried, how this will play out when they actually roll out the new version, because it will be a different system and we have to get used to it. So that is the purpose of this rollout, where we have to get used to it. You have to test it, you have to play around with it, see what works, see what doesn't work, say what you want, say what just contribute with your opinion, and keep an open mind. Elementor is trying to build the future of Elementor for us, yeah. And as we know, technology has evolved extremely fast in the last couple of 2 years, at least 3 years, and they have to keep up. So I wanted to say, keep an open mind, test this on a test website, yeah, and play around constantly, and tell me, tell other creators in the realm of Elementor, tell us what is working for you, what is not working, what you would like to see, what you would like not to see. So this editor v4, it focuses on atomic elements, improved performance, CSS oriented design, yeah, and future ready infrastructure. So these are very important pillars that we are going to be looking at in the future. We're going to have more videos on this because as Elementor rolls out things, we're going to have a look, right, and test them out. Yeah. So let's get into it. All right. So let's say you are in the dashboard of your test website. Okay. And now you have to update to Elementor. So let me go to plugins and let's see what we have. So I have the 3.28.4 version, which already has the v4 alpha available for me. But let me just go to the Elementor repository, and I will leave a link in the description below where you can download exactly this link. So this is 3.30 version, the latest version, okay, at the time of filming this video. And you just click on this one and it's going to download the version that you need. Okay, so probably you will see a different number here when you're going to download it, but this is the version that I have right now. Okay, so let's go to add a new plugin. Let's go to upload and let's just drag it in the zip file here. Okay, so I'm going to install it and I will show you exactly where to go to activate it. All right, let's replace the current version and we can go to Elementor. Yeah, and you have to go to settings and you will see that you have the option to set the settings for editor 4 here. Usually you would not have this option here. Yeah, you would have only these options, but now you can go to editor v4 and you can try out the new experience. Make sure that if you don't want it, you can deactivate it simply. That's it, and nothing happens. Yeah, you will just not have it active on your website. All right, so I'm gonna try out the new experience. Yeah, let's play around with it. All right, so I have on the screen version 4, previous version of Elementor. Okay, I want to compare how the editor looks and what to expect in general, yeah, in comparison. And I think this will help other than just telling you how things are now and how things will be in the future. This is more impactful, right? So as you can see in the version 4 of Elementor, the future version, we have a section for atomic elements right at the top of layout. If you go to the older version of Elementor, you see that you already have just start with layouts and then favorites, which I've added myself. Otherwise, this will not be here. But in this case, we have atomic elements right at the top. Probably this will not stay the same because they will reorganize this once everything is released. Until then, we have them here at the top. All right, so we have 7 of them. And I don't know on what they base this release, how they chose these widgets and not others to give us to test. I have no idea, but this is what we have, and let's test it. Okay, so let's start with the Flexbox. I assume that this is the container, and I'm gonna click on it. And as you can see, it's full width to start with. You know that I always like to start with a full width container. First of all, because these containers are only one, yeah, they don't, if you add a box container, it adds another container. I've said it many times before, and yeah, I always use with a full width container. So as you can see already, we have a general tab and a style tab. We don't have what we used to have in the containers, layout, style, and advanced, all right, in this case. So I think this is better. It's more simplified, and I love it. Okay, so basically they combine the layout in the style, right? And we have the general where we add, basically, I would assume content. I would assume some content, some other elements, other settings like blanks in this case, or tags, HTML tags. Let's see. So we have the settings and we can choose an HTML tag in this case. We don't have any options right now. I hope they will add more because they are very useful, especially if you add code and you need to target a specific HTML tag. That is very important, okay? Then we have a link. So you can add a link here, yeah? And then if you add the link, this will become active. So let's just say, whatever. I'm gonna just copy a link for the purposes of this video. I'm gonna drop this link in here. As you can see, this has turned off from dark gray to lighter gray. And now you can actually turn it on, okay? And if you hover over it, you can see that there is an option for dynamic tags. Honestly, I would prefer this to be visible at all times. For user experience, I think this is better. And especially since we're starting to get used to new ways of working with Elementor, I think this is an added stressor, I guess, where you don't know where the dynamic tags are unless you actually hover over the element. And I think this should be from the start, for the future, in the future, should be as it is right now in the editor, should be by default there, right? As you can see, dynamic tags, there. I think this is a little bit exhausting and tiring to look for it. That's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below if you have tried this, if you tested it, and how you feel about it. Yeah. Of course, we will get a better feel about this as we work, but I think this is one of those things that needs to stay the way it is in the old Elementor. All right. Okay, let's go to style because we have quite a few things here to cover. And if you go to layout, basically we have more displays than we have here in the old Elementor, right? So as you can see, as I said earlier, they are more focused on, they will be more focused on CSS. And they have added here block block in flex. And these are part of CSS, right? Displays. Then we have the directions, justify content. This stay basically the same as you can see here. We have the gaps, and in the gaps we have in the old version, as you can see on the page, we have the option to add a custom size for the gap, but in this new version we don't. We have all the other units except for custom unit, and I don't know if this will stay this way or they will do something else, or maybe because we are using classes this will not be an option, because we can set a custom gap right in the class. And yeah, that is good, but also maybe not necessarily that easy to understand to start with. And that will kind of like, that's one of those things that you need to get used to it. Then we have the spacing, and everywhere let me just go down to the spacing, and everywhere you will see that you don't have the custom unit. Yeah. And again, I think it's because we can set this custom with classes. Could be that is the reason. I have no idea. Let me know down in the comments below if that's what you think as well, or you've heard anything. I'm not sure. So in margins, we have the option to set these margins to auto, which is interesting because if you go to margins in advanced in the old version, you will see that, oops, no, that this option is not available, but we have the option to custom margin this element. The same stands for the padding and so on and so forth. What I like is that instead of saying top, bottom, bottom left, whatever, it shows you where the margin is. So you can see that, let's say you have, this is your element, yeah, and the top margin is also shown here. So you can say 2, right? Let's just link it, and 7 and whatever. So I think it's even more helpful than before, maybe, I don't know, or it's for just for UI purposes, but I like that they kept the label for the paddings here. So yeah, spacing is interesting as well. Let's go to size. So the size have the same units, added extra the auto. There's nothing too interesting here, but we have the overflow. So as you remember, if you go to layout, you go to additional options and you have the overflow here, yeah, hidden, default, and auto. And you simply can choose it from here. You can set it on from here, yeah. Nothing too crazy about that. And as you can see, there are things that are still the same, but they're in the different place and the UI looks different. Again, we will get used to this, no worries. The position is very interesting because if you go to advanced in the old version and you go to position, you can see that we have obviously the default version, absolute and fixed. And here we have quite a few of them. And this is so cool because it gives us so many options in terms of where we can position the elements on the page. And you can see static, relative, absolute, fixed, and sticky. Awesome. Maybe we're going to play with this, but I want to give this background a little color. As we go to the color, we're going to come back to position to see how these positions look, right? All right, as you can see, we have the option for typography here, which is quite interesting because in the old version of Elementor, we don't have typography. Losing my mind. There's no option for setting typography here. Maybe this is just like something they are adding extra, or is something that, I don't know, maybe something related to classes in a sense. I have no idea why this is here in the flex box, but we're going with it. So at font family, you can choose the font family as you used to choose it. Font weight, the same. Font size, again, as I said, we don't have the custom sizes, but because we are going to be using classes, that is going to be our custom sizing, I assume, again. Yeah, so you can set the size from here. Text color, yeah, and let's see what else. Basically more or less the same. Line decoration and so on and so forth, more or less the same, but of course as you can see, the layout, the user experience is different a little bit. The UI is a little bit different and it's a bit cleaner, I think. All right, let's close this and let's go to background. Okay, as you can see, you can choose the color from here, so I'm gonna choose this color because it's really impactful. So we can go to overlay and you can see already that our overlay is set to an image. You can also set it to repeat X, to repeat Y, or not to repeat at all. And you can set the position of it, usually center, right? You can set the resolution, size, auto, let's say, attachment. Basically, it's the same as in the previous version. So let's go to style here and let's go to background. So we have background and we have background overlay. In this case, they kind of merge them together under background. Yeah. So background, let me just go a little bit. I don't have the option to hover though. Let me just select an image. All right, position, center. Okay, so is it me or the hover option is missing here? Then you can set the gradient overlay if you want, or color. But again, I think because we are going to be using classes and states, so a state is basically this. From normal, it goes to hover, for example, yeah? And there's a change in how this looks. But yeah, this is interesting. So you can also move these elements. So you see, you can grab it and you can go and move the background placeholder on top of it. There's nothing to see right now. Let me just go back to selecting an image. Yeah, select this and it's on top. So if I go to choose color here, nothing like this. So we can see better what we're doing. Yeah, this is going to be on top of the image. So you can do this. You can even add, I think, more color. For whatever reason, you can add more colors. And if you want this color to be at the top, you can have that color at the top. Anyway, these are things that we will play in the future to see how they work best for us. And then you have the border. Again, we have, these are the values that we have to work with. These are options to adjust the corners. Yeah, I think that the UI is quite clear and clean. I like that so far. You have effects, and under effects we have box shadow. These are very well-known options, right? Nothing too crazy here. And you can, as you can see, you can duplicate this, you can hide it, and or remove it, and that's it. The same stands for this option. Anyway, so I know this is a lot of information, but this is something that we have to play with. All right, so let's play with the positioning, okay? So let me just open this up more. So static position, basically it is what it is. Let me publish relative, and you get the option to choose between top, left, right, and this is how you choose the relative position. In our case, in the old Elementor, you could go to advanced, go to absolute, for example. You can choose, you can offset by just dragging the indicator here. Yeah. But in this case, you have to actually manually do that yourself. And let me just go to absolute. Yeah. So you see, this is how it works. And yeah, you can also go to percentage and change this to percentage and this as well. So then let's say 50 and 50, right? Also, we have the Z index here that we can set. So I want it to be at the top of everything on the page. And the relative, and then fixed. Yeah, as you can see, as you scroll, it's fixed on the page. And sticky, and should be sticky at the top, but this, I think it's only visible if we go on the front end. So it seems like we have issues with the website. Great. Anyway, so this is the Flexbox, and we have more. All right, so I'm gonna add a heading in here. And yeah, if you go to headings, let's just go to headings in the old Elementor. Let me just click on it, and it looks pretty much the same. Yeah, I would say nothing crazy here. Again, as you can see, if you hover over, you can see that you can add dynamic tags, and yeah, the same. You can change the heading, add your text, obviously. Settings, you can add your H tag, and then you can add the link. And the link, as I said and showed before, in the Flexbox, is basically the same behavior. Yeah, but here, as you can see, we have the little wheel, cog wheel, how you call it. You can choose to link the options. So in our case, we don't have that. We don't have the option to open the link in a new window yet. And we don't have the option to add no follow. And we don't have the option to custom attribute this element, this heading. So I'm wondering, where will this be added in the future? Will they be added? Is there something else that we need to set somewhere else? Who knows? We shall see. But this is the big difference here, right? Let's go to style, and pretty much we have the same elements as I showed before in the Flexbox, yeah? I'm not going to go over this, but they are going to be very useful. Spacing is the same. Pretty much everything is the same. Typography is very important here because, let's face it, this is the typography. Background and everything else is exactly the same. But as you can see, we have effects as also box shadow here, but we are missing the blend modes, text shadow. I'm not sure if this is exactly the same. Let's see. Yeah, it adds a box to the container that this heading is in, instead of the text shadow. Not that we like to add text shadows, but this is missing. Text stroke, unless I'm missing them. Oh no. Okay, so we have them here. Okay, I take it back. So we have the text stroke here, text transform, but we do not have the blend mode. Yeah, so this is missing. This is missing here. Maybe things will appear somewhere else or they will appear here as they test things, because as I said, this is work in progress. Let's go to look at another element. So we have the paragraph, which is also a very important element, and let's go to the paragraph we have here. So the paragraph in the old Elementor is a text editor. So as you see, under content we have quite a few elements, quite a few options, but we don't have them here. Yeah, we have the same options in the new Elementor as we have in the other atomic elements in terms of content, but that's pretty much it. Let's go to style. And the style is, of course, again, pretty much as is in the other elements, the other atomic elements, yeah, but we are missing quite a lot of things here. So this is pretty much as the heading in terms of settings, but yes, we are missing. As you can see, we have the option to set the text to be any of this HTML tags, or set it to from visual to text, which was very useful in terms of coding. And if you know that I've done that before, where I added full structures of HTML here, and so much more. And this is crazy. I mean, I'm sure they will add this option somewhere, but there's so much more to be done, Again, as I said, this is a first look at this version alpha. All right, let's go to look at the SVG. Let me just drag it in here. Oops. So as you can see, we have the same settings in terms of general settings. Then we have the style. Again, we have the same options. Yeah, I think they're pretty clear in general, and again, we will get used to them and where things are. And as you can see, we have sizing here, because this is very important, right? We need to set the size for the SVG. And let's say, what is this size though? Okay, all right, so this kind of works. What else do we have here? Background, the same, and effects, again the same. I'm not gonna go over them because they're the same. So again, we have typography here, which I think it's not needed on most elements. I don't know why they have it everywhere, but I think they created a basic widget and then they added other options to them in depending on what that widget is supposed to do, I assume. I don't know. All right, so yeah, so pretty much this is what the SVG is. Let me just go back to general, and you can select an SVG. Yeah, I have this SVG here, and you can also upload one, but you don't have the option to choose from all those font awesome libraries and so on. But I assume that that will come in the future. The old Elementor did not have an SVG, but you can choose an icon and you can upload or choose an SVG. So as you can see, as I said, you can choose from Font Awesome here, or you can upload your own. Yeah. Plus you have different options like view, stacked, and etc., and shapes, and of course the link, which we have in this option, in this version, the V4 version. But again, there are so many things that are missing. Yeah, we'll see what's gonna be added to this one as well. So let's go back to elements, to our atomic elements, and yeah, we could add a button here as well. Check it out, and then I'm gonna jump straight into the classes because it's a little bit more to explain. And I think it's going to be interesting, although complicated in a sense. All right, so as you can see, the button is blue. So let's play with this one. All right. In terms of style and settings, it's basically the same. The general settings are the same as for all the other atomic elements that we've looked so far. And if you go to style, you have here the size, spacing, and layout. Again, the same. Yeah. As you can see, the display, if I click on it, the text moves in the button itself. So this is for adjusting the direction of the text in the button. All right, so under layout, you will see that you have a flex child. So if you click on align self on one of these elements, you will see that the button itself changes position. Yeah, so now it went here on this side and now it's stretched and now it's start. Yeah, I know it's a little bit confusing, but now that we know where it is, we know how to place it on the page. Yeah, so that is under layout. Okay, so that is it. Then we have the family. Yeah, so we change the family here. Let me just change the font size to 3. It's a big button. Text color, let's say white. And yeah, all the other options are there. Background color, let's change the color to this ugly green. And yeah, I'm gonna add a border. So yeah, I'm gonna say pixels, 3 pixels. Yeah, that should do it. Border, yeah, okay, it's black, solid. And let's say, all right, cool. And border radius. Okay, let's go and make it. I'm not gonna go too much into this. It's like, this is a first look, okay? But yeah, this is how it works. And let's go to the button here. And again, we have more options. Where is the icon? Where can I add the icon here? So that's layout, typography, background. Maybe here? No. What am I missing? I'm missing the icon. Oh, this is cool. You can actually add a background here as well, where before you couldn't add a background except for a gradient background and color, of course. Now you can add a background image, which is super cool. Let's add this one. This is quite cool, huh? And yeah, let's see. Where can you add the icon? What am I missing here? It seems like the icon is missing. Okay, let me know in the comments below if you have found the option to add an icon to the button, but it seems like currently there's not an option to do that. All right, cool. Let's move on. Yeah, so the button still needs some more work, more elements to be added, more options, or so on and so forth. Now let's look at classes because this is a very interesting thing, right? So as you can see here at the top, you have the classes. This is where you add the classes and this is where you choose the classes, okay? So currently we are local, okay? So if you go over it and you click on these 3 dots, you will see that you get the states that we talked about earlier. So this is where we have the hover effects, yeah? Add local hover, and then focus and active as well. So this is where you're going to set the hover and the focus and all these effects that we used to add before. So as you can see here, for example, the button has a style of text shadow, hover, or normal. Yeah, normal, hover, and we have they have added 2 more states, focus and active. So we have the state of active on some elements, like I think the tabs have the active state as well, and others. All right, so let's add a hover class here. Let's say hover BG. Okay, so we have to enter. Now we have created a class. Okay, so if I go to the these 3 dots, and I click on them and I select the hover state, I can select the color, the color of the hover state. Yeah, so I could set it to this green, whatever. Yeah, but while you're creating your class, you have to have the element selected. Okay, have to make sure that that is correct. If I go to local, it's still set. Yeah, because we have this set as a hover state. Normally this is the color. Anyway, I think this is something that we have to get used to it. It's going to take some time, but we're gonna make it. All right, so if I go to this element and I click on it, yeah, and I type in a class, you can see I already have a few classes selected, created. Let's just create another one. So you simply put the name of the class that you want. In terms of how you want these classes to be named and what conventions to use, there are certain conventions that I good practice, they say, but keeping in mind that these are websites that will be maintained by clients and not other coders, I would say use very descriptive classes. Okay, you can create your own conventions, but make the classes very descriptive. Keep in mind that your clients will need that. All right, so let's go to this container and I'm going to add a class here. So I'm going to say container, but it needs to be different. Okay, this is just, I can't come up with something right now. I'm going to hit enter and I want to set a background. Yeah, so let's go to set the background to blue. And for whatever reason, this is not changing. All right, the size, the height to a height, right? Because currently it doesn't have a height. So let's say 50, okay? So if I want to add another flex container here, I'm gonna drop it and I'm gonna go select it, go to style and look for my class. So I'm gonna say container red. And for whatever reason, right now it changed the color to blue as we set it on this one. So this one is on local. Yeah, if I set it, that is very interesting. So on local, it's red, but if I set it on the class, it's still red. Interesting. Let's add another one and let me go to style. Let's look for the container red. Okay. But you know what I mean, right? You get it. So you set a class and then you can give that class all the values and all the settings that you want. And then you can replicate the same settings on other elements like that. So that's going to be so much easier. And if you're wondering why and how our class is better than global styles, the global styles only cover typography, color, and yeah, that's about it. But classes cover so much more, like padding, like margins. Plus, it's so much cleaner. Yes, you need to set a system and you need to think a little bit more like a developer, or just change a little bit the way you think about how you build. But as I said, this will come with a lot of practice. And yeah, I need to practice more because apparently I didn't get that. So it's something that we have to work together to understand better and come to terms that things are changing and it's for the better, really. And to also help you think like this, imagine if you have an element on a page that you want to give the same settings that you would have, for example, on this page. So you have on this page this element, yeah, but you want to add it somewhere else. So instead of creating a template and then added a template, you just simply create a class with the same settings for this container, and then you go to another page where you can add the same class to a container like this, yeah, and those settings will be applied and you don't have to worry about it. So, and if you want to make changes to these containers in the future, you just go to the class and you change it there. So how you do that, basically, let's go to style again. And you can see here we have a little icon that is called class manager. So if you click on it, you get this class manager where you can see all the classes that you have created. And as it says here, you can adjust their properties, rename them, delete them, blah, 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 blah. So got it. Let's go to container red. Yeah, more actions, rename. For now, you can just rename it, but I assume in the future you will be able to adjust the properties from here. So there you have it. A quick look, I would say, sort of quick, of what's to come and what we can do so far and how we can play around with these elements that we have right now. So again, I'm saying keep an open mind. Yes, it's scary, but let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep it civil and let's not, get angry about all these changes, because I know how it is. Change is hard, but we have to adapt to move forward, right? If you'd like to see what else you can build with Elementor, watch this playlist here or here. And if you have gotten any value out of this video, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.